Why did the successful actress Dinah Plato lose everything she had? How did she go from working on the black and white series to making erotic movies? Why did she end up living in a mobile home in her last days? We are going to talk about that in this report, that and so many other things. Dinah Plato was an actress who rose to fame thanks to her role as Kimberly Drummond in the hit series Diff'rent Strokes, known in some Latin American countries as Blanco y Negro. If you don't know what series I'm talking about, I'll give you a clue that might unlock some memory. What are you talking about, Willie? The National Broadcasting Company network series had a very marked social decline that it wanted to show in American homes. In its episodes, it subtly battled against the racial hatred that was still felt in the air of that nation. It was for this reason that it marked a before and after for viewers, but also for the members of its cast, among them Dinah Plato. While she worked in black and white, she enjoyed a fleeting stardom, becoming one of the most famous teenagers of the 80s. She reached the pinnacle of recognition as a child star, but soon discovered that this world of applause and praise had more pitfalls than she thought. Her last days, she tried to clean up her image on a radio show, but everything got out of control and she ended up being pointed out by a crowd that no longer loved her like in her golden years. Amidst so much contempt, she knew she couldn't handle this life. It cost her so much to live it that she only made it until May 8th of 1999. The day Dinah Plato died. Before we start, I'd like you to comment below if you knew Dinah Plato. Which movie or series did you know her from? If you had seen her in black and white, or if you knew she had a role in the Exorcist saga. Well, if you want to know about this, you'll have to keep watching this video. I also invite you to leave suggestions about possible future cases, and without further ado, I welcome you to this new chapter of The Day That. On May 8, 1999, Dinah Plato and her partner Robert Menchaca traveled in their mobile home to Los Angeles. They planned to celebrate United States Mother's Day at the house where Menchaca grew up. They arrived in Moore, Oklahoma, and spent part of the morning with family, having lunch and sharing various stories from Robert's childhood. After eating, Dinah excused herself and asked permission to go to bed, claiming that she wasn't feeling well. Her mother-in-law wanted her to lie down in a room in their house, but the actress insisted on going to her own bed. The discomfort she felt had little to do with lunch. She had a plan that was going to be the last one she would carry out. While Robert and his mother were enjoying a tea, Dinah, sneaking around in the trailer, was taking the sedatives out of 7 tablets. Within minutes she had ingested them all. Her bloodstream was slowly being poisoned with caresprodol. Blood tests would later show that her body also contained Valium and other drugs. What initially seemed like an accident later turned into something more murky. The problems followed, fulfilling a strange curse that Dinah seemed to have been carrying for many years. But let's not get ahead of ourselves to learn about this curse. It's better that we start from the beginning. Dinah Michelle Strain, better known as Dinah Plato, was born on November 7, 1964 in Maywood, California. When she opened her eyes for the first time, she was only received by her biological mother, Linda Strain, who was just a teenager when she brought her into the world. They were together for the first few months, but Linda's loneliness and fears led her to make a difficult decision, to give Dinah up for adoption. That's how the future actress's story completely changed Dean. Plato, a trucking company owner, and his wife Florine adopted the little girl, giving her their last name and showering her with affection in her new family. Her story would take another turn when her adoptive parents decided to divorce. Once again, little Dinah, who was 3 years old by then, was back in the care of a single mother. Although of course this time, the framework and possibilities were different. They lived in the San Fernando Valley with a handful of dreams and a lot of love. Florian paid attention to his daughter's charisma and beauty, and understood that she could do very well in acting. The well-formed curls and angelic gaze were her pass to get through various castings. And that's how Dinah, from a very young age, entered the world of television. At just 7 years old, she had already starred in over 100 commercials. At 11, she made her debut in fiction, being part of The $6 Million Man. Dana's mother was somehow also her agent. She made sure her daughter's career took a particular direction. To prevent the young actress from being tainted by grotesque or out-of-style movies, the woman rejected the child's participation in 2 roles. These are roles that other girls took on and that you may know. One of them was Violet for the movie Pretty Baby, and the second was for the role of Regan McNeil in The Exorcist. Those who know the story of this latter movie probably know that the actress who would ultimately play Regan would also end up being the victim of a tragic story. If you're unfamiliar with the topic, I suggest watching the video about the Exorcist's curse on my main channel. Year after year, Dana was climbing in the industry and her possibilities were increasing. In the year 1977, she began her journey on the big screen thanks to the film Return to Boogie Creek, an adventure and suspense movie that was not very well received by the public. Despite the initial rejection, Dana had her revenge with The Exorcist. Seeing the success of the movie, her mother put aside her prejudices and allowed her daughter to participate in the sequel of the film titled The Heretic. One way or another, they had achieved their goal. Dana was sought after by producers and many were interested in her profile. In short, the little girl had a bright future ahead of her. A bright future that would soon be overshadowed by the shadow of vices. Later, Dana participated in the talent show, The Gong Show. There, another door opened for her when one of the producers saw her and recommended her for a series that National Broadcasting Company was preparing. That series was precisely Diff'rent Strokes, known in Latin America as Blanco y Negro. In that fiction, Dana would play Kimberly Drummond, the daughter of a millionaire who had adopted the children of his deceased housekeeper. She thus changed her destiny and the viewer's destiny forever. Alongside the actress worked actors Coleman and Bridge, better known for their roles as Arnold and Willis. At that time, Dana was only 14 years old and had a budding addiction to alcohol, cocaine, and marijuana. For the second season of the series, at 15 years old, she would often show up to work intoxicated, and the producers didn't know how to help her. While she showed many shortcomings behind the scenes, when the red light came on, she captivated the audience. Her role in Black and White became increasingly important. Her delicate face, accompanied by her characteristic smile, gradually became her trademark. One of the great peculiarities of the series was that in the midst of a racist American society, it managed to remain, grow, and leave a mark that is still remembered to this day. Above all, Arnold's question, "What are you talking about, Willis?" Both Dana Plato and her colleagues Coleman and Bridge went from being simple actors to becoming television stars. But how did the young actors handle such responsibility? Well, the truth is they didn't know how to handle it. Black and White was a synonym for good coexistence despite the differences. The series succeeded largely because the secrets of the set remained hidden. If the family had found out what was happening behind the scenes, the rating would not have been the same. To be more specific, there were drug abuses, suicide attempts, and scams, but one important thing that remained over time was the famous curse that accompanied the fiction. Apparently, everyone got stuck on the roles of the series and couldn't stand out in other acting opportunities. The result of the curse apparently doomed Dana Plato, but also the other actors. Gary Coleman, who played Arnold, was known for still looking like a child when he was actually an adult, a particularity developed by a kidney problem that prevented his growth. The talented young actor died at 42. Todd Bridges, who played Willis, had to go through hell because of a pedophile manager. Due to those experiences, he struggled with alcohol and drug abuse. When the door of acting closed on him, the door of jail opened. Apparently, misfortunes led everyone in the cast towards their worst destinies, and Dana Plato and her family were not going to be strangers to the curse. While American households saw a typical smiling teenager, reality showed something completely different. Dana was a depressed and insecure girl. While she enjoyed fame, the truth was that she always walked on the B-side of the show. Abandonment, loneliness, and problems with her mother hurt her psyche until it left her very weak. It was precisely because of this weakness that she ended up on the path of drugs and alcohol. At the age of 14, she experienced her first Valium overdose. As I already hinted, Dana and her adoptive siblings from the series were connected from the start. For that same reason, there were rumors suggesting that she had an affair with Bridges. What seemed to be just a rumor ended up being true. While they preferred to keep it a secret, Bridges confirmed it in his autobiography titled Killing Willis. What he said was something like this: "Dana and I were very close. Everything we did together had an air of innocence. We were two good friends eager for crazy experiences. Dana could have more extreme party days, but everything got darker for both of us when the program ended." In writing this, Bridges really wasn't exaggerating. Dark times were approaching. The year 1984 would be unforgettable for Dana. At 18 years old, while she was programming the 7th season of Black and White, she became pregnant with the guitarist Lenny Lambert. The actress understood that a problem was approaching and tried to solve it. She proposed to her bosses to incorporate her pregnancy into the storyline. The producers did not conceive it. Her role as a spoiled and wealthy girl could not bring such a twist in the plot, so the only way to solve it was a fleeting study trip to Paris. The viewers waited for her, but as the episodes went by, they ended up forgetting about her. Conrad Bain, who played the father of the family, spoke with her before she was written out. Dana told him that she was excited to become a mother and that once she had the baby, she would never be alone again. It was very sad that she, with that mindset, would sink into the depths of depression and even end up dragging her son down with her. That same year she got pregnant, she married Lenny Lambert. Their son Tyler was born in the middle of 1984. She enjoyed motherhood initially, but as time passed, she felt compelled to return to her career. When she went out looking for new roles, she found that no one wanted to work with her. And so, just 4 years after saying yes, she separated from Lambert and lost custody of her son due to her addictions. While she was trying to recover, the death of her mother added another wound. Her work and recognition no longer existed. Her motherhood was a constant personal struggle, and her family kept disappearing. Lonely once more, she posed nude in Playboy magazine, sparking conversation about herself. At the same time, she accepted some supporting roles in low-budget films, such as The Prime Suspect and Blade Boxer. However, she still had several problems to face. Her financial difficulties were increasing, especially when her representative ran off with a good part of her savings and left her in ruin. With nothing else to lose, Dana traveled to Las Vegas to look for new opportunities and ended up working in a laundry. The salary was very low and the debts were very high, but what continued to compromise her the most were her addictions. Unwillingly, Dana made the headlines again, but not as she had hoped. In 1991, she was arrested for robbing a video store with an air gun. The saddest part was that she only got away with $164. The store employee recognized her instantly. When he called 911, he said, "The young woman who played Kimberly in Black and White just robbed me." Dana was arrested instantly. The news shocked the entire public opinion, but also the people who knew her from before. And that's how Wayne Newton, a Las Vegas entertainer, paid a $13,000 bail and managed to restore her freedom, although it was conditional. In January of 1992, Dana went back behind bars after forging a prescription to get diazepam. After 30 days locked up, she entered a drug rehabilitation program and tried to rebuild her life. And she returned to acting, only in a very particular way. An interesting fact about Dana Plato is that she was one of the first actresses to star in a video game. While Night Trap did not have the success they expected, it is considered the first link in an incredible cycle that later paved the way for Mortal Kombat. The use of real people in virtual movements was quite a novelty at that time. While rehabilitation offered Dana more opportunities, life brought her closer to her biological mother. Television, as it often happens, fed off that moment, and their first meeting was televised. The relationship continued for a while, and after assimilating her past, the actress said it had been a wonderful but brief time. Dana has worked in nearly every format, including series, television, cinema, video games, and magazines. Clearly, she was a person who had no problems with work. That's why she didn't turn down the opportunity to make adult films. Approaching 2000, Dana tried to appease her debts with her foray into soft porn. While she had already worked on complaining evidence, she later appeared naked in Prime Suspect, but her most played role was in Diff'rent Stroke, the story of Jack and Jill, in which she played a lesbian. Trying to find her way again was how she met her end. Dana fell in love again with her final partner, Robert Menchaca. Robert offered her a simpler life, which she accepted. Her last time was lived between tranquility and simplicity. The couple moved and lived in a mobile home. They got along well, although Dana continued to struggle with the ghosts of the past. Her work was variable. Every so often they called her to work in erotic films, but nothing in which she could stand out. Her end began to become visible in March of 1999. A former roommate named Jennifer Wegby spoke in the media about Dana, and not exactly with good intentions. According to her, the actress had stolen money to buy cocaine. She also said that when she wasn't living among dirty dishes, she was begging in Hollywood. When Dana found out, she appeared on Howard Stern's radio show to make her statement. Her idea was to tell the truth to clear her image, but it seems the black and white curse was still complicating her. While she acknowledged her dark past, she claimed that she had been clean of drugs and alcohol for years. Listeners began to call into the program, but not to support her, quite the opposite. Dana tried to stop people's comments, offering to take a test to prove she wasn't lying, although she ended up leaving amidst anger and shouting. That's how she spent her last day alive, regretting the life she had led. The next day, Dana and her partner set off on a trip to Los Angeles. Since it was a holiday for Mother's Day, they went to Moore, in Oklahoma, to greet Robert's mother. During the meeting, Dana retired to lie down in the bed of her motorhome. And that's how our story comes back to the beginning. Within minutes, she was dead. The autopsy revealed that she had ingested sedatives and a very strong muscle relaxant. Her partner, Robert Menchaca, told the police that Dana was feeling unwell and took Lortabin Valium before falling asleep. Her death was initially treated as an accident, but ended up being ruled as a suicide. In the face of that ending, everyone pointed fingers at Stern and his radio program, but he denied that the interview had contributed to the actress's death. Laboratory tests revealed lethal concentrations of the powerful drugs carisoprodol and hydrocodone acetaminophen in her bloodstream. Dana Plato's body was cremated days later, but her story was not going to end there. In one of her last interviews, Dana jokingly said she posed nude for Playboy, Gary is suing his parents, Todd was arrested, that Drummond was a terrible father, referring to the characters of the series. The actress's passing affected both the entertainment world and her loved ones. 7 years later, she was talked about again when her son, Tyler Lambert, accused Robert Menchaca of contributing to his mother's death by not immediately providing her with medical assistance. According to Tyler, Dana's last partner had abandoned her. Tyler never recovered from his mother's early death and met the same fate, as if the curse was passed down. In 2010, at only 25, he died by suicide from a gunshot wound. Interestingly, he chose to take his life 2 days before the anniversary of his mother's death. And that's the video for today. I hope you found the story interesting. Dana Plato, a truly sad story, like many of the stories we've learned about on this channel about famous Hollywood artists. I want you to tell me below if you knew her, how you knew her, and if you have anything else to contribute about this particular case. I also invite you to leave suggestions for possible future videos on this channel, and with nothing more to say, I say goodbye. My name is Magnum Mephisto, and this was The Day That